He tried to woo me by telling me he was super into my favorite band, and he later confessed that he really wasn't.
These are the things you do.
For love.
Hi, my name's Byron. I work at WestJet in the loyalty team.
My name's Michèle, and I'm married to Byron. I was in Paris. I was backpacking after university. I took off for 7-8 months by myself, and I was at a youth hostel.
First time I met Michèle was at the Three Ducks Youth Hostel in Paris, which was the hottest ticket in town, the only place to stay in Paris. I think I sent Andrew over to meet you guys first. Yeah. That's my way.
You confessed to it though soon after that you'd sent him in as your fluffing pony or wingman.
I would have said wingman, but yeah. This maybe reflects poorly on my Australianism and how isolated we are. The fact she wore a scarf made me think she was super sophisticated.
So it's actually kind of funny because I used to try to just dress up my jeans and t-shirt with a little scarf. So it was kind of my thing. So the fact that he noticed it and liked it was actually good.
The fact she spoke 2 languages fluently made me think she was, like, wow, who is this creature? She's clearly beautiful. She was intriguing to me. She was not like a girl who I had met before.
He was funny. He was charming. So
I mean, I'll
go for it.
Clearly beautiful. Things like a scarf and speaking 2 languages. This sophisticated creature. We didn't have those in Australia.
Yeah, if I'm going to be like, really shallow, I thought his Australian accent was super sexy. But yeah, kind of just the whole package. Just, I love a handsome man who's smart and can make me laugh.
Mish was going to Brussels, I think, the next day on the Eurobus, and I was doing everything I could to convince her to just cancel your ticket.
But I chickened out and jumped on the bus at 7 o'clock the next morning.
I wake up the next morning to a phone call from somewhere halfway to Brussels, and it's Michèle saying, wow, yeah, you would convince me, but I didn't want to forgo the $20 change fees.
I really had made up my mind that I should stay. I think I've always done runners when I get nervous, but I really, really wanted to stay. And then I also have this super pragmatic, cheap side in that I already paid for the bus ticket to leave the next morning. So it was a combination of being cheap and chickening out. But in hindsight, maybe it was the best thing. Maybe it wouldn't have worked out if I'd stayed with you and we'd had a romantic time in Paris.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is gonna sound really stupid. But literally after the 3 nights together in Paris, I wrote in my travel diary, this is the kind of guy I think I could fall in love with and marry.
Yeah, well, my answer is when I tried to convince you to stay, I wouldn't have tried that hard otherwise.
No, and in hindsight, knowing you now, I know you wouldn't have tried that. So there were payphones when we were both in Europe and knew where the other one might be if we were staying with friends or family. But as we went our separate ways, I had to resort to fax machines. I had to resort to postcards and letters. And sometimes that actually meant sending a postcard or a letter to his family back home, and they would read it to him, I guess.
I remember writing some of those letters where you would buy it from the post office.
The airmail letters on the thin
to
blue paper, that was your thing, wasn't it? You're right.
So here's the first thing I wrote to you. Dear Michèle, finally the lazy Australian takes the time to put pen to paper and write to you. Probably sums it up, right? I hope the card finds you coping with Bangkok and not needing to employ the Rex maneuver.
Oh, that's the card I sent you, is the Rex maneuver card.
Oh, it's a Heimlich of sorts.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a great day in Shrewsbury back in May. Big day of discovery, and hey, I sure like what I found.
I can't believe how much we have in common and how easily we get along. And I won't read the litany of ridiculous things that I said we had in common. Yeah, especially when you lied about loving my favorite band. He's flirtatious but shy. It's scary, but I could fall in love with him.
I get the win on that one. I don't get the win
It
on
was the
much,
guys thing, yeah.
but I get the win on
exactly.
that one. We were camping in Mount Washington. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I took you camping. We've never been since,
No.
but
Poured down rain one night. It was cloudy, so you couldn't see the stars because I was looking for a corny line about things like stars and
Really?
stuff like that. So I had to wait for the next night.
well, we wouldn't have met if we hadn't traveled. Yeah, we wouldn't have met.
Yeah, I think like travel was one of those things that we were just both into, and so it was always going to be a glue factor for us.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we were traveling meant that we were in a place where we were really open to new experiences and to meeting new people. It puts you in this whole different mindset as well. So it was our love of travel, but it was actually also the mindset that we were in that helped us meet.
It's important to know that Michelle's much older than me, so she would have been further along the maturity scale.
1 year.
1.5 years. Rounds to 2.
Our last 18 years have been traveling as a family, so whether that's, an Airbnb somewhere in Dominican Republic, or we've been lucky enough to go to Europe, and like really lucky to travel with our children. They're extremely, extremely spoiled. But yeah, it's only recently that our kids have been old enough that we're able to travel together just as a couple again.
It's funny, somebody asked me the other day, have you guys ever disagreed as to where you should go next for holidays or whatever? I don't think so. There's no bad places.
No, there's no bad places.
What's the best thing you could give me for my 50th birthday? Is that a party? Is that a watch? Is that a whatever? No, it's a trip.
It's always going to be
Let's go
travel for the two of us.
Yeah.
What was the question? I was all wrapped up in his words.